See if this engine is even savable. Brand new drum rotors up here in the front. And honestly, it doesn't look as bad as I thought it would be. Most Mustangs, they rust out right here. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're gonna be back to work on our 1965 Ford Mustang. As you guys seen in the previous episode, we went ahead and pulled out that engine, which was it wasn't too hard, but the fact that our lift still isn't working, and my friend is an electrician, he is supposed to come out here sometime this week to get it all wired up, because both lifts were actually wired in sync with each other. And then I kind of unplugged it, and I don't know how to plug it back up, and I already tried, but it's just not working. But it's okay, because I mean, it's not too hard to do it on the ground just like we did it. But we got the engine out, and now we need to start working on getting all this stuff cleaned up and prepped. And also, we're gonna be replacing this cowl here soon. But I wanted to show you guys the engine that we did rip out of this car. I'm still not sure what kind of engine it is. I think it's a 289. Somebody told me to look on some codes over here, but I can't really seem to see what kind of engine it is. Hold on, what does that say? 34 Elite. I have no idea, but I kind of want to see what's going on with this engine. I want to pull off this intake manifold and see if there's any water or anything inside there, see if this engine is even savable, because I did notice, I did try to turn it over a little bit, and the motor actually spins a little bit. So there might be a little bit of water in there. We'd have to take the spark plugs out and just spin it over. And if it's a good engine, we'll probably end up just selling it with the transmission, you know, recoup some money, put all that money back into this build so we can make this thing a beast. So we'll get to the engine in a little bit, but I really want to focus on getting this engine bay prepped for a new 5.0 engine. As you guys know, the shock towers are going to have to go. There was barely any room for this V8 to fit, and that thing is tiny. The Coyote engine is going to probably sit somewhere like this. So both of these frame towers will need to go, and we will be converting it to a coil over system instead of the junky spring over coil system that is in here right now. And we do need to have some good suspension on this thing, because it has drum brakes in the front right now as we speak, which we can't be using that, especially if we're putting a 400 horsepower Coyote engine in here, and it just doesn't make sense. And a lot of people were saying maybe put an original 6-cylinder in there, but honestly, guys, that's kind of whack, and I would really want to do all this work to this car just to have a little V6 in here. So let's go ahead and get straight to work. I want to lift this car up, put it on the jack stands, and probably just go ahead and take all the suspension off the car, just so we're not cutting through anything, because all these parts are still good. I'm going to sell the engine, I'm going to sell all the suspension, because there's always people that need this stuff, and I'll obviously give them a super great deal on it. So let's get this car jacked up a little bit in the air and get those jack stands under here, and we can go ahead and start taking stuff off. Guys, we honestly don't have a jack right now. We should have bought one the other day, but we don't feel like going all the way to Harbor Freight. It's like 35 minutes away. So we're gonna drop this engine off, set it over there, and then use this hoist right here to lift the whole car up, put the jack stands under here, and just get straight to work.
Watch your head, dude.
So we got this thing up in the air, nice and safely on the jack stands. Just gonna unwrap this right here. And we're done with the engine hoist for now.
That's a 2-in-1 machine right there.
Literally, so lift and an engine hoist. It's a beast machine. We've had that thing for like 10 years. All right, guys. So now that we got the car in the air, I think the first thing we're gonna do is go ahead and start removing all of the suspension components. And it does also have some nice American racing rims on it. Unfortunately, they are 4 lugs, so I don't know who could use them, but we'll post them up on Craigslist, or if any of the viewers want them, we can just shoot me an email and we can get something taken care of. So let's bring the toolbox over here and start stripping all the suspension off the car. So we got both wheels off the Mustang, and check this out. We got brand new drum rotors up here in the front, which isn't too impressive because these are some weak brakes. And we also have some new braided lines. I wonder why they didn't replace any of this stuff. Like, you can just see all this grime and dirt. So they kind of, when they restored this car, I guess they just looked on the outside, and I'm pretty sure all this is original because look, this still looks like it hasn't been taken off in years. There's a bunch of crud all over it, a bunch of grease. I thought we were almost done cleaning off all the dirt and grease off this car, but we have a little bit more to go. And on the passenger side, when I did take off this wheel, I did notice that the tire rod is bent right here. So I'm guessing when he did get in the accident, they hit the wheel and everything. So it was a pretty good hit. So maybe the frame on this thing is a little bit pushed over, but we won't really know any of that until we start, you know, get on the measurements, start taking everything apart. So let's get everything off now.
So you look like a dentist with that thing, bro.
I am a dentist. I'm the car dentist. Surgeon.
The car surgeon.
You know, I gotta put on my new Milwaukee stuff because this stuff is goated. Now let's get this stuff off. I don't think we're gonna have any trouble, so I'm not sure where to even start. I guess we'll just start with taking off this suspension right here. And I'm really loving this new Tecton toolbox that we got. All the sockets we could possibly want. Now let's get the passenger side off now. Dude, it is crudded up. I just don't see, like, when they were restoring it, why didn't they just go ahead and put all new suspension on there? It's a little odd. All right, this side is off. So we got both tire rods off on the car, and man, it's super cruddy. I just don't understand why they wouldn't replace all this, especially when they were putting a V8 in here. So they put a V8 in the car with drum brakes in the front, which isn't safe at all. Maybe that's why he wrecked in the front. But we got that off. It was a little bit crusty, but it's all good. We got our Milwaukee tools, so let's just continue on taking off the suspension. Well, we got that side off. We're just stripping down this thing. That is filthy. I do not like that. But we got all the suspension off the Mustang. Dang, it does look pretty crazy. It's just bare now. So we finally got both suspension off. It was a little hard because everything was super dirty, and I did notice there's a bunch of crud right here. I don't know what this is. It's like a little channel, I guess, and I think it might be a little bit rusty in there, so we're gonna have to clean that out and see what's going on. But these aprons are not looking too good. All this stuff is like super rusty. It's like super weak. It's almost as if the heat probably weakened these aprons really bad. So it turns out we might have to replace them because we don't want really weak aprons on the car. And it kind of like started splitting right there. So I don't know if it's gonna be safe or not, but we're gonna keep on working on the car. We got both sides off. We still can take off the little sway bar down there, but we got both suspensions off. And it was actually weird. I was cutting the top shock mount off because it would not come out. The bolts were just spinning under there, and it doesn't have a nut. It's kind of just like a round head. And one of the grinding sparks fell on that paper towel that was still there, and it caught on fire, which is pretty crazy. So it just goes to show how easy it is to light those paper towels on fire. And maybe it was just an accident, you know. Some people, you know, sometimes you'll be working on a car, you know, something's not going right, you just slam the hood, go back inside and forget about it. But now that we got all that off, we're gonna go ahead and clean everything out of here. Probably cut some more of these brake lines off, take all this stuff out of here, clean off all this crud right here, and then we'll start working our way into maybe getting these shock towers off. So let's get everything cleaned up, get all these smaller things off, get the rest of the suspension off, and then we'll start thinking what we're gonna do with these shock towers. It's not looking too good, boys. Well, guys, we got everything off the front of this car, and man, these aprons, they seem like they're really weak now that the fire has warped them a lot, and they're supposed to be perfectly straight, but as you can see, it's warped right there really bad, and then it's all warped through here. All this is warped, and I'm pretty sure everything in here is warped, which I'm thinking maybe just order new aprons because they're really cheap. It's literally $70 for each side, for this side and then for that side, so $140 to replace the aprons. And we are already doing the shock tower delete, so we won't have to buy new shock towers. And I think the best option here is just going to be to cut them off and then replace them with new ones, just to give it that nice OEM feel, because these are going to need a lot of work. I'm talking, I'm going to have to bondo all this right here, bondo that, bondo all the waviness down there, and it's just not going to look too good. And it's just going to be pretty much a waste of time when we can just order two new ones. 170 bucks or 140 bucks is a really good deal for two of them. So I think what we're going to do is go ahead and cut them all off and replace them. So before we start cutting anything on the aprons, I actually want to go ahead and remove this old cowl section and see what's exactly going on down there, so we can go ahead and make sure if our dashboard is good and see what's going on with that lower piece in there. So let's grab the grinder and let's cut this cowl off. Guys, we got the cowl piece cut off, and it's not looking too bad under here actually. Let's see what's going on. You can kind of see this stuff right here. I think that might be a warp. Hold on, let me grab the other. We have our new cowl panel over here. I want to bring it over side by side and just see how it looks. So here's our new cowl panel right here. And yeah, you can actually see this stuff all right here is just warped. And this area right here is all warped. It's supposed to be all nice, perfectly round, but it's all warped in together. So that means it kind of just shrank everything once it got really hot and then cooled down when the firefighters poured all the water on there or whatever they used. So yeah, I think we will definitely be replacing this inner cowl section as well, because we do have it right here and this one's in pretty good condition. It just needs to be straightened up a little bit. This is just where it was dropped, and then all this stuff right here can just be easily cleaned off because it's just a little bit of surface rust. It's not too bad. So we finally got our first piece cut off the Mustang. Finally, we were doing a lot of cleanup work, getting rid of all the old stuff. And honestly, it doesn't look as bad as I thought it would be. Most Mustangs, they rust out right here, but a good thing the drain wasn't clogged right here, so there's no rust. So it's gonna be a lot easier to replace than we initially thought. Because I remember on that other Mustang, oh, this entire area right here was just purely rusted, like bad. Like it's been rusting for a good time, not just from the fire damage. But this one looks pretty good. I think this is gonna be really easy to replace. And I think in the next episode, we'll go ahead and cut these firewalls off and replace this piece and then the cowl piece. So we'll pretty much have all that done. And then we can start working on putting the 5.0 Coyote engine in here. So guys, that's gonna be a wrap for today's episode. We got a lot of stuff done on the Mustang. We got all the suspension off. We cut off the cowl piece. Now we know it's gonna be really easy to replace because there's no rust underneath there. And guys, I wanna make this thing perfect. That's why I did all this. You know, that's why I'm gonna replace this inner piece and outer piece. A lot of people were saying don't replace it, but there would be no way to actually sand any of this stuff down to prevent rusting in the future. And I wanna make this thing freaking perfect. Well, not perfect, but like really good. But if you enjoyed today's video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, drop a like on this video, and also follow us on Instagram at vTuned. Thanks for watching.
What?
How is that on fire?
What is what?
That paper towel is on fire right now.
For what? You're using parts.
Oh, when I was grinding this off. Well, we almost burned it down again. That's crazy.
See the little spark on the surface?
Dude, I was grinding this way. I guess I just one little spark. Hold up, maybe that rag was soaked with something. Why did it just caught on fire so freaking... Burn, young child.
That's insane. You were just using the grinder and
just,
a little
yeah.
spark. Wait, so dude, what if there is something on that junk? No, but if it was soaking something, you know.
Yeah, they're probably already gone. That's pretty crazy though. So that's how easy it is to burn a car down right there. One little spark, bam. Oh, I did burn a car down one time. She won't drive.
Very soft landing.
Yeah.
And that's what the brain's done.
It'll be alright. Let the main bolts off the control arm right there. Dang, there's a lot of shims in here. I'm guessing this thing wasn't driving too good. 3 shims on this side. This is a pretty weird looking suspension though. Guessing this is all they had back in the 40s, or not the 40s, the 60s. Okay, so we can take that off. I kind of want to get everything off as a complete unit instead of taking off piece by piece.